Hi all, I'm glad you took the time to watch this video. In most IT organizations that may follow Agile, it might be a common practice to use frameworks such as Scrum, Extreme Programming, or Kanban. In some, a combination of three. Scrum Masters may try different processes from other methodologies to experiment, inspect, and adapt to deliver value on time. One such process they may use in Scrum is XP's pair programming. My presentation today is about pair programming. Before we jump into what pair programming means, let's take a moment to understand the process of a Scrum team. In this scenario, specifically developers in the Scrum team. During a sprint, the programmer starts working on a user story assigned to them. After the programmer is done coding for a user story, another programmer does the code review for the same. Code review is checking and verifying the code through another set of eyes to validate if the code conforms to the set coding standards. Once the code review is done, the programmer does unit or functional tests before it's ready for testing. Once the code review and the unit test are done, the code is then tested by the quality analyst. Depending on the organization, the quality analyst might do manual or automated testing, or sometimes both. Once the QA is done with testing and finds the code bug-free, the user story is marked done for the sprint. Now let's take a look at what is pair programming. Pair programming is an agile software development technique originating from extreme programming in which two developers team together on one computer. The two people work together to design, code, and test user stories. Ideally, the two people would be equally skilled and would have equal time at the keyboard. A common implementation of pair programming calls the programmer at the keyboard the driver, while the other is called the navigator. The navigator focuses on the overall direction of the programming. The collaboration between the developers can be done in person or remotely. It is a collaboration effort that involves a lot of communication. The idea is to have the driver and the navigator communicate, discuss approaches, and solve issues that might be difficult for a single developer to detect. Did you know in an XP framework, the Scrum Master is also a programmer? How does pair programming work? Pair programming requires two developers, one workstation, one keyboard, and a mouse. The pairings can be assigned or self-assigned. In a remote setup, the programmers share their screens and will have their videos on to work simultaneously with each other. The process starts with the developers receiving a well-defined task. They agree on one small goal at a time, such as writing code, testing, or just taking notes. Any discussions on direction or corrections can be made after each goal to avoid interrupting the driver's flow. The two programmers can talk about the various techniques and challenges, with the results usually being higher quality code than when one person does the same work. The two developers take turns coding or reviewing and check each other's work as they go. Rotating roles regularly helps keep both developers alert and engaged. Organizations may also have the pair rotate roles to work on different tasks. This way, they get experience working on different parts of the system being built. This makes the team cross-functional. Depending on how the pairs are coordinated, junior and senior developers can work together, enabling senior developers to share their knowledge and working habits. Pair programming styles and techniques. Pair programming uses three general programming styles: the driver navigator style, unstructured style, and the ping pong style. The unstructured style is the most commonly used pair programming style. In this, the programming relationship falls in an unstructured style where two programmers work together in an ad hoc manner and collaboration is loosely guided. Both programmers should have matching skill levels. A common variant of this style is the unstructured expert novice pair, where an expert programmer and a novice are paired together. An unstructured approach is difficult to discipline and unlikely to last for longer projects. Unstructured pair programming is also harder to keep afloat remotely. This approach is considered if programmers do not know what will work best for the project upfront. The driver navigator style. The driver navigator approach is a popular pair programming style where one programmer handles the mechanical side like coding and the other is in control of strategic or architectural elements like reviewing codes. The driver and the navigator switch roles often. This style works well for a novice paired with an expert programmer. The navigator role can range from a reserved approach to a tactical hands on role. The last style is the ping pong style. With the ping pong style approach, one developer writes a test and the other developer makes the test pass. Each person alternates between writing and passing tests. When two developers shift roles regularly, it is unlikely one programmer will control the workflow. This style of pairing is normally performed in conjunction with test driven development. Test driven development, or TDD, means test driven development is a software development approach in which test cases are developed to specify and validate what the code will do. In simple terms, test cases for each functionality are created and tested first, and if the test fails, then the new code is written in order to pass the test and making code simple and bug free. Test driven development starts with designing and developing tests for every small functionality of an application. TDD framework instructs developers to write new code only if an automated test has failed. This avoids duplication of code. While it might be successful for some programmers, pair programming is quite the challenge for many. If both developers do not equally engage in a project, then there is less chance that knowledge will be shared, and it is highly probable that one developer will participate less than the other. It is hard for those who work better alone. Pairs that have trouble together might be better suited to work by themselves. Forcing them to collaborate may work their work ethic. The pace may not be suited to practicing hours at a time. Likely, developers will need breaks at different times. Be aware of the power of two brains. When two are working together, each has their own set of knowledge and skills, comprising of a common set of this knowledge, and these skills enable them to communicate effectively. Unique skills that allow them to contribute to accomplish their tasks. Together, a pair will come up with more than twice as many possible solutions than the two would have done when working alone. Proceed more quickly to narrow in one of the best solution. Implement it more quickly and with better quality. Pair programming is a powerful technique as there are two brains concentrating on the same problem all the time. It forces to concentrate fully on the problem at hand. Now that you know what pair programming is, let's move on to mob programming. Mob programming is a software development approach where the whole team works on the same thing at the same time in the same place and at the same computer. This extends the concept of pair programming from two people working together to an entire team working continuously, collaborating at a single computer to deliver a single work item at a time. In addition to coding, teams practicing mob programming works together on almost all the work of a typical software development team, including defining stories, working with customers, designing, testing, and deploying software. This work is accomplished in workshops or working meetings. The team consists of everyone involved in creating the software, including the customers. The mock programming approach relies on concepts such as face to face and side by side communication, team alignment, collaboration, whole team involvement, continuous code review, and self organizing teams in order to be effective. How is mob programming used? A team that is using mob programming effectively will exhibit the following characteristics. Members of the team approach all of their interactions with each other with kindness, consideration, and respect. The team's physical space is set up such that the entire team can work on the same thing at the same time and at the same computer without ergonomic issues. The team practices single piece flow by starting working on and delivering one work item before moving on to the next item. The team is always seeking to improve through frequent retrospectives matched up with concrete action item. Let's look at some of the benefits of mob programming. There are many other unseen benefits of mobbing. There are a few that I would like to outline here. Knowledge sharing. It builds trust as a team must. No context switching. High quality of work. Strengths cross functionality and functionality of the team. Any task, not just programming, can be done using mobbing. Only a few resources is in need to start with. Spotify has designated space called pods where mob programming is practiced. That brings us to the conclusion of the presentation. Thank you so much for watching till the end. The best practice of Agile is the feedback loop. I truly appreciate if you can use the link below to share your feedback about this presentation. Again, thank you.